In a land where civilizations rose and empires fell, the Middle East has always been a crucible of power, religion, and resistance. But honestly, few rivalries have burned as long and as fiercely in recent history as that between Iran and Israel. My story begins not in war zones but in friendship. Before 1979, Iran and Israel weren't enemies. In fact, they were quiet allies. Both nations, one Jewish, one Shiite Muslim, saw each other as strategic partners in a region dominated by Arab nationalism and hostility towards Israel. Imagine Tehran in the 1970s, bustling streets, oil deals being signed. Iran, under the Shah, sold oil to Israel. Israel, in return, helped Iran with military and agricultural technology. But beneath this cooperation, some serious tensions were rumbling. Then came the Islamic Revolution. Suddenly, the old world was swept away. Ayatollah Khomeini overthrew the Shah and called Israel a cancerous tumor. Iran's new government rejected Israel's existence outright. From that moment, Iran's leaders made it their ideological and strategic mission to oppose Israel. To them, Israel was a Western outpost planted in the heart of the Islamic world, a symbol of colonialism, oppression, and American imperialism. This wasn't just political, it was theological, emotional, existential. But Iran didn't march its armies straight at Israel. Instead, it built a web, a network of militias, political allies, and shadow wars. In Lebanon, it armed and trained Hezbollah, a Shiite militia sworn to destroy Israel. In Gaza, it funneled money and weapons to Hamas and Islamic Jihad. Across Syria and Iraq, it formed proxy groups loyal to its command. Israel, in turn, struck back in the shadows. Hundreds of airstrikes in Syria to stop Iranian weapons shipments. Assassinations, cyberattacks like the infamous Stuxnet virus, and covert operations became the language of war. This wasn't peace, it was a cold war in the desert. And then, the nuclear question. Iran's nuclear program set off alarm bells in Israel, who saw it as an existential threat. In 2015, a deal was struck between Iran and world powers, limiting Iran's nuclear activity. Israel, though, opposed it, arguing it was just a temporary fix. By 2018, the US pulled out of the deal, Iran resumed enrichment, Israel ramped up its strikes and sabotage. The line between Cold War and Hot War thinned. Then the 2020s brought accelerants to this long fire. Qasem Soleimani, the architect of Iran's regional power, was killed by a US drone in Baghdad, an event Israel quietly welcomed. Iran vowed revenge. Hezbollah, Hamas, and other Iranian allies stepped up their attacks. Israel responded by expanding its military reach and deepening ties with Gulf Arab nations through the Abraham Accords, tightening the net around Iran. Then came October 7, 2023. Hamas launched a brutal surprise attack on Israel. In the chaos, the war in Gaza escalated. Iran denied direct involvement, but its fingerprints were everywhere, in training, funding, ideology. Now, as missiles fly across borders and red lines blur, the long shadow of this conflict stretches towards a dangerous unknown. The war that began in silence and proxies is no longer in the shadows. This isn't just a conflict between two nations. It's a war of memory, ideology, power, and survival. A story written in the ruins of empires, across desert borders, and through the voices of people who dream of peace but prepare for war.